Hey y'all, this is going to be a simple recipe for chicken tikka masala. I have 3 cut up chicken breasts that I have been marinating in a rub that I make. It has cumin and some salt and pepper and some garlic, some other spices. We have some salt and pepper that there's no amount. It's just to taste. Depends on how much salt, pepper you like in your chicken tikka masala, and everybody's palate is different. I have a 1/4 cup of curry powder. I have a tablespoon of cumin. I have a whole red bell pepper, diced. I have a half of a yellow onion, diced. I have about a tablespoon of lemon juice, fresh squeezed. I have a whole bundle of cilantro chopped. I have 2 cups of heavy cream. I have olive oil, because you'll need olive oil a couple times. And I have here, that is not ketchup, it is a tomato puree. It's a 10.75 ounce can. And over here, I have a smoking hot cast iron skillet with about 2-3 tablespoons of oil. This is going to sizzle immediately. I'm going to flatten this down because I want it to get nice and brown on the bottom. Then we're going to kind of flip these pieces of chicken over, not one at a time because that would be insane. But we'll use our spatula and we'll just kind of flip it over like you do a burger. And it works pretty well. We'll let that cook for about 4 minutes on that side and we'll flip it over. Alright, here's our chicken. It's been cooking for about 4.5 minutes, 5 minutes. It's about done. You don't have to cook this all the way. We're going to set this to the side in a big bowl because you're going to cook some other ingredients with it that's going to finish this up. Alright, let's put this chicken in my big bowl. Alright, I have the same skillet. I'm going to put about 2-3 tablespoons of oil. It's extra virgin olive oil. Put my yellow onion. My onion. Red bell pepper. We'll let this cook for about 3 minutes till the onions and peppers get a little translucent on the outside edges. Stir it up. And at this point, I am also going to add just a little salt and pepper. I did about two dashes of salt and pepper mix. I've got my skillet nice and hot, so it's not going to take long to get these peppers and onions to begin to get translucent. I want them to cook quickly, but I don't want them to burn. So this is where knowing your skillet and knowing that your cooktop comes in handy. I don't know what you're using at home, so you have to just kind of play around with how yours works. And you can already see they're starting to get, hopefully you can see that, it's starting to get a little translucent. So at this point, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my curry powder, and my cumin. The reason why I do it now instead of later is because I want the flavors and the oils and that the dry powder mix to start opening up. And you can almost, to me, I can smell it. As soon as I put those spices in that oil and it started heating up, I can smell it immediately. It smells wonderful. It smells like curry. We're going to let those toast in the pan for about, I don't know, about a minute. I don't want them to burn, but we're going to let them sit there for about a minute. Alright, at this point, I'll take my tomato puree. Alright, stir that and give it a good stir. Those oh, excuse me. Those spices are nice and toasted. I'm going to give this a quick stir. The tomato puree is going to get hot pretty quickly. And I don't want it to reduce down anymore. So I'm going to get the heavy cream and put in there. Now watch the color of this cream once I get it mixed really well. We're just wanting to stir this up. Get the tomato puree mixed really well with the spices, get it evenly mixed. And we're going to let it bubble up, cook for a couple of minutes before we put the chicken in there. And once we get the chicken in there, we're going to let it simmer for about 20-30 minutes. If you really want those flavors to incorporate to mix really well together, then you could turn it down to a really low simmer. You're going to simmer for about an hour. What you want to be careful with is you don't want it to simmer so long with that chicken that the chicken begins to spread. Because I like chunks of chicken, and Tikka Masala traditionally has chunks of chicken in there. And I've seen different variations. We can see the color of that. The lighting in my kitchen isn't great right where my stove is. But from my eyeballs, it's getting a nice little yellow color. Alright, our sauce is nice and bubbly. I'm going to add my lemon juice. And all of this goodness of cilantro. At this point, it's been cooking for about 7 minutes. And I'm going to let this cook for another 1 minute, and then we're going to add the chicken back into there that we had set aside. Alright, it's been cooking for about 2-3 minutes. I'm going to add this chicken back in there. Give that a good stir. Our chicken tikka masala has been simmering for about 25 minutes, and I think at this point it is done. So I'm going to turn off the heat, and I'm going to let it sit for about 10-15 minutes. The sauce will thicken up. Won't be so hot that you can't eat it. And right next to it, I have some basmati rice about to start boiling. And once it starts doing that, I'm going to turn the heat down and then put the top on. And let it cook for about 15 minutes until it's done. And then we'll have chicken tikka masala and basmati. I forgot one more step. So I've let the sauce cool for about 10 minutes, and it's still bubbling because it's still on my cooktop. But you want to take some cold butter, And I've got about 5 tablespoons of cold butter, maybe 5.5. And I'm going to put it in there. And all I'm going to do is stir around until that butter is completely melted. And it's going to give it a nice, rich flavor. Kind of mellows all those flavors and blends them all together really nicely to go with your basmati rice.